Hi, I'm Avi. Welcome to Avi's Kosher Kitchen. I'm your chef and tour guide as we tour the rack of lamb, courtesy of our friends at Whole Foods. First though, we're going to say L'chaim. I have a beautiful, beautiful wine from our friends at Harkin Spirits. This is a Kadesh Barnea. It is wine from the Negev, and I got to tell you, you would not believe that they could grow grapes that taste this good in the desert. Unbelievable. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagefen. Oh, now my taste buds are already opening up from that wine to get ready for this, the rack of lamb. Now a rack of lamb is like, this is the piece of meat in a lamb that everybody strives for and that everybody wants. Now if you look at the rack, nice and lean. Why? Because the lamb from Whole Foods is 100% not just pasture raised, but it's 100% grass fed. Now grass fed gives you a different flavor structure and a different body structure, which is really, really, really wonderful in the lamb. Much more flavorful, at least in my opinion, and leaner, much, much leaner. There's also no antibiotics, no growth hormones, none of the kind of other crazy junk you can have in there. Now, I've already Frenched this out, which basically means removing a lot of the meat and the fat from in between the bones and that sort of thing. Now, if you want to know how to French the roast, I've got another video on that. You can just look it up, pop it in, and see how to do that. Meanwhile, let's get going on this. First thing we're going to do, I'm going to put a pan right on here to heat up with about a medium type of heat. Okay, that's what we want to do. On our rack of lamb here, what we're going to do is put a little bit of salt on, just a little bit. Now I've already rinsed this off. Sometimes, you know, in a kosher cut of meat, because the meat is already salted, there could be a little residual saltiness depending on the cut. So I'm just going to put a little bit of kosher salt. We want to sprinkle it up from up on high. It gives you a nice spread, better spread on it. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit on the end caps too. Okay, and with that, we're going to just do a touch of fresh ground black pepper. I'm not a big ground pepper fan, so we're just going to put a little bit. Now we're going to put a little bit of extra virgin olive oil in the pan here, okay? And that is going to be so that we can sear this meat. We want to sear all sides so it gets nice and crispy and develops a good crust on the outside. Searing actually holds in a lot of the flavor and the juices of that, okay? So now while that heats up, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I've got my food processor here. In my food processor, I'm going to put about, 3, 5, make it 6 cloves of garlic. I'm going to put a touch of salt. We're going to put a shallot. We'll put a medium-sized shallot in there. I'm going to put some basil, 1, 2, about 3, 4 basil leaves, and I'm going to put mint leaves. These are beautiful fresh mint leaves. Now, of course, you know, in a kosher kitchen, all of the leafy vegetables are checked, washed and checked for bugs, and make sure we have no infestations or anything else like that. I'm going to put that in there, and just a little bit of olive oil, just to kind of bind all of that together, okay? And, oh, the aroma coming off of that, I'm telling you right now, it just really makes me go, okay. We are going to put the lid on. And before we food process, I could hear that oil and see it starting to smoke, so we are going to start with our lamb rack getting nice and happy, fat side down. There we go, okay? Really, really going to just sear it, okay? Meanwhile, let's pulse this up. Got a straggler leaf in there. Oh, smells unbelievable. A little bit more olive oil so we get kind of a paste with that, which is what we're after on it, okay? I'm going to throw in a couple more basil leaves because I'm going by smell. I think you could use it just a little bit. Now some people, when they make a lamb, they're going to put mustard on it and stuff like that. Hey, listen, if that rocks your boat and you want to put a little Dijon mustard on it before you put this, you know, that's fine. For me, I don't get it. I think that, you know, mustard belongs on hot dogs and corned beef sandwiches, not on lamb. But, you know, That's just me. And that's really the beautiful thing about cooking, by the way, is that it's all subjective. It's all up to you. Hey, if you don't like to put basil in this, don't put the basil. If you think a shallot's not a good idea, don't do it. You know, it's a suggestion. All recipes, in my opinion, are really a suggestion on what you could do and should do. It's not like that has to be the end all on it. When it comes to baking, different story. Baking, you know, you're dealing with formulas and things like that, but recipes, take it easy. It's okay. So now, I've seared all 4 sides. I'm going to take that off. Take that off the heat. We're just going to let it cool here for about 5 minutes, okay? Because when I put it in the oven, I want this lamb to be relatively at the same temperature. It doesn't take long to cook a rack of lamb. So I'm going to let it rest, and then we're going to put the glaze on. So now it's been about 5 minutes. I got my rack of lamb here. It's going to take my glaze and just put it right on top of everything, okay? Really, and let it fall off the board, that's fine. You want to put it on the end. You want to put this over here on the bottom. What you're going to do is, as it goes on, just dapple it in here so that the whole thing gets covered, okay? That oil, by the way, that nice olive oil, is going to really help to brown up the outside of this rack of lamb too. You could smell the garlic and all these seasonings, wow. Really, 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 really nice. What we're going to do is take that, put it right back here in the same pan that I had, okay? And I've got some more on my board. Just put it right on top. It's going to crust right onto there as we cook it. Now, what I want to do in here, okay, that's good. I'm going to just put, I'll put the rest of this in there, why not? I'm going to take shallot. We're just going to cut shallots into a couple of chunks and just put them in there just to give it a little bit of aromatherapy, so to speak, just a little bit of extra flavor with it. Okay, that goes just in there. And I'm going to just, to give it some moisture, take a little bit of white wine. This is a Chenin Blanc from Tishby. Really not too sweet, but not too heavy. Okay, because I don't want to overpower the lamb with anything else. I just want to put a little bit of moisture in there so that as it cooks, it just stays moist. Now we take this 400-degree oven, and it's going to go for about 15 minutes. It doesn't take a long time to cook lamb. But when you're dealing with meat that is pasture-raised and 100% grass-fed, like a Whole Foods, it cooks faster. So you can't go by the temperatures that they give you in traditional recipes. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a thermometer, a probe thermometer. I'm going to put this into the thickest part of the meat, which is right here. Okay, I'm going to put it in. I know that the meat is about this thick. I'm going to put it in about halfway. It's going to be about there. Okay, it's going to display a temperature here. When that temperature gets up to reading 130, about 130, 135 degrees, should be about medium, medium rare to medium. That's what I want to do. It's going to come out, it's going to rest, and then we're going to cut it and see. Okay, so that's in. I'm going to take this uncovered right into the oven, 400 degrees. Let's go. Okay, 400-degree oven. Had it in about 15, 20 minutes. But remember, the key was that we wanted to cook this to temperature, always to temperature. I got this up to about 135 degrees, okay? Then I put it right here on the board, and we let it rest. Out of the heat, out of the pan. While I let it rest about 15, 20 minutes, I took the pan, put it on my burner, put a little bit more white wine, and deglazed everything from that. I got this. I gotta tell you, this. I took a little taste of this before. Wow! This really is gonna be a flavor explosion right on top of these chops, okay? You got your nice shallots in there. We got a little bit of mint. You could smell the mint, but you could smell the woodiness of the lamb itself. Really, really, really good. So now, let's see how well we did. We are going to cut it open. Are you ready? I'm going to cut right between the bones. I'm going to cut these into chops. Look at this. Beautiful, perfectly medium rare. Just look at that. Look at how nice that looks. You got nice marbling right in here. The fat has melted into the meat. It's not overdone, which we don't want it to be, but yet it still not too rare, because too rare on a lamb to me is no good. So we're going to take these 2 chops. I kind of call this there's lots of ways you can play it. If you see these people they make these teepees and all this other stuff, you know. Listen, I like this with a chop. This is kind of like the yin and yang way to put it in here. A little bit of the bone legs over the plate. Who cares? Look at that. And we're going to take a little bit of this, drizzle it right on the top, put a shallot in there. You don't want a lot, just a little bit, that's enough. And look at that. There we go. This is a phenomenal meal. These lamb chops with the mint and the basil and the garlic and our herb roasted potatoes and these beautiful Asian infused sesame green beans. Really absolutely great for a dinner party, a Shabbat meal, a holiday, New Year's Eve. Beautiful presentation. The meat will melt in your mouth, and I guarantee you, you're going to be coming away like a hero. So until next time, I'm Avi. I wish you all the best of everything. I'm going to say, l'chaim.